I'm Katie Kempner, and welcome to Perspectives here at Advertising Week Europe. Today, it is my pleasure to have a repeat guest, Anna Jones, who's a co-founder of AllBright. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So last time we spoke, you were the CEO of Hurst UK. So this is a big change.
That's right. I think it's my midlife crisis. I a year ago left Hurst, a job that I loved with lots of brands that I loved, to co-found a company called AllBright, which is basically about supporting female working women in the UK. So our mission is to make the UK a better place to be a working woman. And most recently, we've just opened a members club for working women just up in Bloomsbury.
So let's talk about that.
Our inspiration was the famous Madeline quote that there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. And as the CEO of Hurst, I was reaching a third of British women, and I could see a lot of stats about what all of the issues that we face as working women. So some of the stats are pretty shocking. Only 2% of venture capital worldwide goes towards female-led businesses, even though they actually deliver better ROI. We know that only 1 in 6 C-suite roles in the UK companies are held by women. But we know that 1 in 10 women want to start their own business, and we know many, many women join the workforce with ambitions to become leaders. So I guess with that vantage point, we started thinking about, well, what would you do if you were going to make the UK a better place? And so our response to that was to do 3 things. Number 1 was to get more funding for more female entrepreneurs. So we've backed 8 companies over the last year, all led by incredible female founders. And we're also trying to connect many more women with sources of capital. The second is the AllBright Academy, which is basically about upskilling founders or people who have businesses that they want to start or scale with the kind of practical skills and know-how that they need to do that. And the third thing, really, the most exciting thing, I think, has been our recent launch, which is a members club for working women called the AllBright on Rathbone Place. And basically, the idea there is to have a place to convene working women from different sectors, different ages, different stages, all in one place where they can come and be inspired and, hopefully build out their networks.
So it's members only. So what's the criteria for being a member?
So the criteria is this is somewhere to come and for women who want to extend their networks. So it's working women, it's people who have aspirations for their career or their company. We've tried very hard to map a very broad sector of women, so different industries, different age groups, so that they can kind of come together and hopefully be inspired. That's really the point of the AllBright, somewhere where you can come. It's a space by women for women, so everything in there, from the art on the walls to the hand wash in the basin is by incredible women.
So what are some of the things that you're seeing, talking to the women now that are just becoming involved in AllBright? What are some of the things that you're seeing that are still like the biggest challenges that they face? Not the typical ones that we all know about, but maybe some other ones that aren't quite as evident.
Well, I think there is still, the fundamental, which probably is talked about quite a lot, is this issue around confidence. And I think a big part of confidence is actually around, this is why we think about providing supportive peer networks for women. So the point of AllBright is to bring together people who wouldn't necessarily be together in an everyday work situation. So we all know that, women tend to have close family and friendship groups, and they tend to be close with their colleagues. But how often do you meet people from different sectors and from different ages and different stages? So the idea is that we would have an artist is bumping into a scientist, is hanging out with a CEO, and it's all in the mix, because what we believe is that if you can see what other people are doing and how other people are overcoming challenges, then it gives you ideas for how you can then do that when you go back into your own place of work. One interesting stat that we had was we recently did a big piece of research on the sisterhood. So that's our version of this supportive peer network. So the women who've got your back, the women who you've been surrounded by on your career journey. And on average, women have 2 work sisters. So those people that they go to for advice, they go to for a glass of wine at the end of a bad day or whatever it may be. And actually what we saw was that as you move through your career, you're more likely, so the more senior you are, the more likely you are to have more work sisters. So from MD and above, you have 4. So that's just quite interesting. So what is it about that dynamic, about having that broader network that helps propel you in your career or helps propel you in your business? And that's something that we're really interested in, how that works and how we can support that.
That's interesting. I thought you were going to say it was the other way around, that when you were starting out more in your career, you had more people to talk to. But I wonder if that goes back to not being as confident in sharing some of the things that worry you when you're younger.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely right, and I think it just. I suppose the point is that the more people that you have helping you along the way, the more likely you are to succeed, and the more role models you have that you work with or you're supported by, the more likely you are to be able to move up. So I guess our point is that start earlier, build up the sisterhood, build up the girl gang, and then who knows where you'll get to.
So you can share, one of the things I remember is when you and I spoke last time for Perspectives, you said, and this was about motherhood, you said, people don't really tell you how hard it is. And I was really struck by that because here you are, you had a huge job, you're very glamorous and very approachable still. And to say that, I think for other people to hear that it's hard for even somebody that appears, women walk around and they see other women and they very often are comparing themselves and thinking, wow, they must have figured it out. And to understand that nobody really has it completely figured out, I think is very liberating for other women.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you have to try and see how other people do it, So my co-founder is a single mom, which is fantastic because actually we understand the dynamics of having young children and juggling it all. But, quite often as a CEO in a big company, you're on your own. And so I think it is important to talk about those things, be open about those things, and also spend time with people who show you how they do it, just because you might get some ideas.
So if somebody wants to join AllBright, how do they apply?
They just need to go on our website, which is theallbright.com, and apply.
So just to end this, and last time you gave us a great piece of advice too, if there's one piece of advice that has really helped guide you through your career and your life to where you are today that you could share with us, what is it?
I guess one of the things I always say is you have to work really, really hard, because ideas, lots of people said to me, why has no one done this before? Why has no one done AllBright? And I said, I had that idea 10 years ago. I had that idea 5 years ago. But I said, well, actually, it's only really through execution and hard work that it gets done. And then I guess the other thing I would just say, which I love, which is the Don Draper quote, is that, if you don't like what's being said about you, change the conversation. And that's what we've tried to do with AllBright. Lots and lots of discussion and Me Too, Time's Up, and all of these discussions about empowering women, but actually let's change the conversation, and that's what we're trying to do with AllBright.
Well, it sounds like you're doing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's great to see you. And thank you.